Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talk Football Live. This is another exciting edition for this weekend games, and we'll be looking into the top games, which we feel will be worth discussing. With me here today, I have Ayo returning, and I have Akintayo and joining us. So it's gonna be a nice conversation tonight as we discuss the game coming up this weekend. We will be focusing on Aston Villa, Newcastle, Chelsea, Brighton, and of course the London Derby, West Ham versus Arsenal, which is the league leader as of right now. Our viewers at home, thank you for your viewership. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Want you to continue to do so as we come up with more and more exciting editions of Talk Football Live. So tonight, Ayo, let's start with the Aston Villa Newcastle game. Newcastle is on a roll, trying to hold on to that number 3 spot. Man United is right behind them. Same points, goal difference. Do you think Newcastle can tell off Aston Villa? Aston Villa has been winning games. This has been an impressive run. Emery came into the Premiership the second time, took Aston Villa from 17. Right now, they are in 6th position. That is a wonderful achievement. Can they hold off? Now in form, getting their ways around. I mean, for the very first time, Newcastle scored 5 goals in a game. That should scare teams. What do we expect to see? Lineup changes. What has Eddie Howe done to turn around this team and find them they are scoring magic? And what has Villa got to, hold off against Newcastle? Let's hear from you, Ayo.
We have to give Eddie Howe some praise because he hit that run that we've talked about, right? A patch of about 7 to 8 games where they were barely scoring or scoring only one goal a game. And it was because he had, settled into a starting 11 that it seemed like teams started to figure out. It was Callum Wilson up front who was fit again. It was Willock on the left, and it was Almiron on the right. Now, they had, just before that, they had, a brilliant patch where Almiron was on form. It seemed like every single thing Almiron touched in those games, he could do no wrong. He was scoring goals and delivering assists for fun. And all of a sudden, it seemed like teams figured them out. And then Howe changed it all up, He brought in Isak. Isak hit the ground running immediately and started scoring. Isak had been coming into partner with Wilson in the back of those games or coming in for Wilson, getting 20 minutes there. But he decided to change the front three all together. He brought in Saint-Maximin, he brought in Isak, and he brought in someone who I didn't even expect in Jacob Murphy on the right. And that just seemed to switch things up. And then as those three started to click and they started to score, he started bringing others off the bench. So Willock has come off the bench a couple of times. Joelinton has come off the bench a couple of times. Wilson as well. And then those guys are also chipping in with goals. So it's like he's found a way to rejuvenate the attack and he's given newfound confidence to the front. That said, as you mentioned, Villa is also doing something amazing. They're on a current run of 4 wins straight. What's even more impressive in that run is they've only conceded 1 goal in that run. So, we've talked about Newcastle having a tight defense. They have the best defense in the Premier League, as we know. But in as much as the current record is Newcastle have a run of 5 wins at the moment, they've conceded in every single one of those games bar 1. So while they've, found a way to rejuvenate the attack, they're all of a sudden not leaking goals. But Villa on the meanwhile are managing to grind out games and get wins, but they've locked up their defense. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. This one it's going to be a really good game to see. It's going to be tight to close. I'll hold off on my prediction for a win. Let's get some analysis from here.
Yeah. I'll come back to you. Akintayo, Aston Villa, Newcastle.
It's going to be a beautiful game, nice game. I think Aston Villa will pick the day. Just because some key players in Newcastle are not available. Maximan, as sometimes stupid as he may be, he creates chances for the team. Sometimes he dribbles and he forgets the ball. But He's a player that draws at least 2 players to himself and creates chances for other people to make use of the opportunity. So with him not playing, being ruled out, with Amiron not playing, now they are left with maybe just Isiak to try to be creative up front. And if that's what he's going to do throughout the match, then opportunity for them to score is going to be limited. Yeah, so I see Aston Villa winning. With them having Bailey, having Bumindia, and what's the name of that striker that's always missing goals too.
Oli Watkins.
Wilkins, yeah. I think they're gonna win the game. Yeah.
Wow. Ayo, back to you. What's your prediction? What do you think is gonna win?
That's a bold prediction from Akintayo. One thing to mention, which is of note, is Leon Bailey has been starting up front with Oli Watkins, but he is ruled out of this game, which is going to be a big miss for Villa. I think on the balance of it, I just have to give it to Newcastle. I want to say they have the better squad at the moment, the better team, and I think this might be a bit too much for Aston Villa at the moment. If we look at the run they've been on, they won their last game 2-0 against Nottingham Forest, which with the way they've been playing, you would expect. In the previous match, they beat Leicester 2-1, which is another relegation team. Before that, they beat Chelsea 2-0. We know Chelsea has been struggling this season. Before that, it was Bournemouth 3-0. So I would say they've beaten teams you would expect them to beat, right? Or teams that are currently struggling. But I think Newcastle in this moment might be a bit too much for them, and I see a win for Newcastle in this game. Especially with the of Bailey, yeah.
I want to bring up something that you've said about Emery, and I want to see if you think that will be enough for him to find a way to win this game. You describe Emery as somebody that has a plan for the first half of every game, and has another plan for the second half. Knowing that about Emery, how do you think he's going to prepare for this game? He knows by now. He will know Newcastle very well. So how would he or how should he be preparing for this game?
Yeah. So to expand more on that, right, for our viewers, what I've said about Emery is, right, I always, especially because I follow Arsenal so closely as a fan, I always try to learn something from the managers, as an analyst, as an aspiring coach manager myself. And something that I picked up from Emery was Emery always has a plan for the whole game, right? He doesn't just look at the starting 11 as the team to deliver the results. He looks at, okay, what do I need to do in the first 45 minutes, the first 60 minutes? Who are the players that can then come in and exploit weaknesses in the next, 15, 20 minutes? Depending on the result, how do I need to close out the game if we're up? And that's something I noticed. You would see in games where he might maybe drop a player to the bench. He did it against, and the game where I actually got pissed off at him, which signaled the end for me was, when we played Manchester United and we lost that game. He tried one of those things, and it was playing Torreira as a 10. Now, there was a thinking behind it, but it was the kind of thinking where you didn't need to overplan, right? I think we've seen Pep Guardiola guilty of things like that, where we say the manager overcomplicates things. And it was, deploying Torreira as a 10 to try and stifle Man United in the front. It didn't work out, but that's just one example of the way he likes to set up his teams. So in this game, if we look at the lineups, it'll be interesting to see who he brings on for what's it called? Leon Bailey, for Leon Bailey, right, and for Newcastle, who we've said is injured in this game. It's just trying to find their lineups here. The person who is most likely to start in Bailey's place, right, who we saw playing the last game, is probably Boubacar Traore, right? He's back from injury. He's been out for a while, but he played in that last game, I believe, and scored. Bertrand Traore is who I meant to say. So I think that's who is most likely to start. He came on for Leon Bailey in that game, and I think he's likely to start up front with Oli Watkins. They're actually very similar players, Leon Bailey and Bertrand Traore. I would say Leon Bailey maybe has a little bit of a cleaner touch. He's more skillful up front. He's capable of delivering passes, whereas Traore is a bit more physical. But he's also a very physical player. And I think just looking at the ways Villa have set up over the past couple of games, he's likely to start with the same lineup he's had. So I don't expect him changing too much in the beginning. What I'll be curious to see is what he does towards the end of the game, depending on how the result is going. They don't have too many options up front. We might maybe see John Duran come on for Traore towards the end of the game if they're chasing the game, or he might bring on a Callum Chambers to lock down the defense if they're up or they're going for a draw, which is possible. Emery is the kind of manager who isn't afraid to play for a draw, right? Some managers like to play for the win or lose it. Emery is the kind of manager who is okay with going for a draw.
Wow, great analysis. Akintayo, anything to add to that? Strongly still believe that.
I still believe Aston Villa is going to win the game. I don't know. I still believe they're going to win the game. Newcastle, you've had a good run, but I think they're going to lose this one. Yeah, that's my take on it.
I guess we'll find out. One thing I would say to this is, and this is my own thought. I think Newcastle might win or draw this game. I don't see Aston Villa winning this game. And I'm saying that because even though Maximan is out, he was out the last game. They beat Brentford. You going to Brentford and winning Brentford. I think that's a tough one. And they did that without St. Maximan. Now, there are two players that I've been watching right now they have the form and they are maintaining the form. And those two players are key to Newcastle. And that's Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton. Those are one of the most hardworking players on that squad. And their energy kind of transmits to the rest of the team. And I think if those two players are there, I think they can cover the ground. I'm surprised, like you said, Jacob Murphy coming back and getting a starting share and really delivering. I think that's something that I think Eddie has found a way to kind of get his players refreshed and give other players opportunities to start and bring others from the bench just to make sure that they are not tired, because it's a long season. But so far we've seen Guimaraes doing a lot more. His statistics every weekend is awesome. Like number of interceptions, passes completed, that kind of a thing. I see him maybe staying with Newcastle next season or probably going to a top club. But that guy and Joe Linton, I think they are work rate. What did you say?
So you saying Newcastle is not a top club?
When they got acquired, right? They started spending the money and somehow they've slowed down. So I don't know if the money is still there for them to spend.
I think they just don't want to go foul of the FFP.
Financial fair play.
They have the money.
They have the money, right? But Chelsea's not afraid of spending.
They have the money, but I think they're just scared of the FFP. That's all.
Chelsea's not afraid of.
Once they get into Champions League, they will spend money. They will spend money.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that was a good analysis on the Aston Villa Newcastle. I think it will be a great game to watch. I still think Newcastle will probably win or draw that game. I won't go with you guys saying Aston Villa. I think it's going to be too tough for them.
Oh no, I think Newcastle will win, which is what I said.
Oh, okay. So you Newcastle. Okay, so it's only Akintayo that is saying Aston Villa might win. Okay. Well, we'll see if his crystal ball is still what it is.
I'm expecting Newcastle. A couple of other things to add, right? A negative that I have about Emery is I don't consider him a top level coach. I know people will argue about his Europa League, trophies, but at the same time, that's the second tier, right, of European level. We've never seen him deliver in the Champions League. I don't think he's ever gone past the.
And you know what, for me though? For me, I don't care about that record anymore. You know why I don't care? Because when it was time for him to deliver that record for Arsenal, he messed it up and we lost
I
we
know.
lost in a bad way to Chelsea.
Plus, Newcastle have the stronger options off the bench. They've been able to
Yeah.
bring in either Wilson or Isaac. Anthony Gordon is fit again, who we know is a solid player. They paid a lot of money to bring him over from Chelsea.
So
They have
there are players for Newcastle too.
So they have options.
Yeah. Awesome. All right,
All right.
let's shift to the Chelsea Brighton game. I'm sure you guys enjoyed that wonderful game. Chelsea versus let me say Real Madrid versus Chelsea, because the first leg was in Bernabeu. I think that was a great game. I think it showed the gap, the gap in quality, even though some Chelsea fans believe they are still top quality. We will find out soon. But I think that was a great game.
That's pretty funny coming from you. Are you saying there's gap in quality between you and Sporting Lisbon?
No, though.
Okay, so
no, I think I can defend that, right? I think it was that's not second team. We didn't start with our first team.
Really,
so
really, no.
Yes,
But most of
we
the
rested our first team players.
Don't go there.
Again, we lost. That's gone, right?
Mhm.
But if you want to debate that, the truth is that Arteta played a second team to start with.
That is not true.
The game was actually no. I mean, the truth is this: that exit.
Let's focus. Chelsea, Brighton.
I know, but I need to respond to him. That exit was already created right from the first leg. Arsenal's exit was already created and formulated right from the first leg. The mistake was there from the first leg, and they carried that same mistake into the second leg. But I won't say more than that. We can have another conversation around that. But the point is, you are not in the best of your best this season. And I think you can agree with me. You're playing a team that is doing way better than you with their current form. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Even though you've bought players, your players have not showed up to deliver the worth of their acquisition. That's the truth right now. I just have a new coach, a caretaker coach, right? So, leaving Chelsea, Real Madrid game, let's shift to Chelsea coming out of that defeat and playing one of the top teams this season in EPL, one of the top attacking teams this season, one of the youngest team this season, one of the things that keeps producing talent this season. And I'm talking about Brighton, that sits in, I believe, 8th position, right? Which is even way above Chelsea. Chelsea is in 11th position.
7th, actually. They're 7th
right?
at the moment.
7th at the moment, right? Chelsea, Brighton. Akintayo, what do you think it's going to happen? This is going to be Lampard's 3rd game. The first 2 games are now recorded as losses. Is he able to turn this thing around and stamp a 3-point to say, yes, I'm around, I'm Lampard, and I can still do it? Give me your take.
I don't know. Honestly speaking, I don't know what will happen in that game. Honestly speaking, because
oh God,
I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'm so low in confidence with the way they are playing in recent time. Honestly, if they pick a draw, that would be beautiful. Because Brighton is playing a good game. They're playing a very good game. Attack-wise, they're a threat to any team, up front. And the whole team is balanced. The whole Brighton team is balanced, from defense to the front, So Chelsea is in disarray. That's the honest truth. Honestly, yeah, we are in disarray, and I've given up on this season, and that's the honest truth. I have given up on this season. All I can just say is they should just get prepared for the preseason, and let's take it from there. So this match, I see a loss. I see a loss for Chelsea, but miracles do happen.
Interesting. All right, so you see a loss. You have any scoreline prediction?
I'm seeing like between 3-1 or something. Yeah, like 3-1 or 2-1.
With the likes of Enzo, Modric.
Look.
Felix.
Something you fail to understand is it's not just buying players into a team that makes a team. There's a lot of work that the coach needs to do for players to understand themselves, to be able to play with themselves. I watch each time Chelsea plays Modric and what's the name of this guy? Cucurella. It's as if Cucurella doesn't have confidence in giving Modric ball. Instead of passing the ball to him, he's running, making a run. Instead of Cucurella passing the ball to him, he takes the ball back and passes to the back. He's like a player that has no confidence, you know. But with a Chilwell, it's different. He takes the ball, he's moving, So it's a problem when you change coaches. It's a problem when you buy too many players. So the problem now becomes blending them, having your first team. For every club, there must be players that are going to be starters. Some will be to come from the bench. Later, they might overtake and take over from the person they are substituting to become the regular. But there's always there's an order. But right now, like I said, Chelsea is in disarray. There's no order.
Akintayo, if you were to pick your selection for Chelsea,
Yeah.
particularly for this game against Brighton, what would be your starting 11?
My starting level would be regulars. Chilwell, Reece James.
What formation are you going to play?
4-3-3.
Okay. So the back four would be Reece James,
Chilwell, Thiago Silva, and Fofana. Yeah. In the midfield, I'll play a Kante, I'll play an Enzo, and I'll play Kovacic or Mount in the midfield. Up front, I'll play an Aubameyang, or I play the other Fofana. The problem with Chelsea, you can't keep using.
I haven't seen that guy on the bench in a long time. And we don't know what's going on. Is he still employed?
Why do you buy that kind of play? Why do you buy that kind of player? The only match I watch him start, I saw the touches. It was his movement.
I know, but the question is, do we know what's going on? Is he still employed at Chelsea? We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him on the bench.
Of course, he's probably been playing with the under 21s or something. Reserve
team. Is he having a disciplinary action or what's going
on? Honestly, I don't know the story behind him. I don't know the story behind him, but I feel players that the problem with that team is, I think the problem is they're not giving guys that are hungry the opportunity to show themselves. There's a place of this class of these big boys. And that's the problem.
Is that a managerial issue going on? Again, just to remind our viewers, this is your top manager this season.
It's just not managerial. It has to do a lot about the owners of the club. Because sometimes when the owners of the club are calling shots on what they want, I'm not understanding that.
So you think the owners are calling shots on who make the first 11?
Oh yeah, they're calling shots. If you Graham Potter, if you ask Graham Potter, he probably would tell you that he doesn't want a Modric.
So you think Todd Bowley is
not the kind of play from when you look at him from.
This is funny though.
from Brighton, if you see the kind of players he uses, you probably won't see him getting a player that will just be running with the ball and stuff. He doesn't. He likes players that would move, change positions, and like more like tiki-taka kind of. But the players that Chelsea got into the team, number one, they came into the team when the team was not going down. There's no team spirit, nothing. Everybody's just playing whatever they want to play. So there's, like I said, disarray. And I think it's going to take a preseason and a solid coach, a coach that can call the bluff of any player to get the team back into playing well.
I'm going to have to come back to you. You didn't give me a scoreline prediction. You did predicted that a possible loss.
I said
3-1.
Probably beat me 3-1.
3-1 loss. Okay. Ayo, let me get your take on Chelsea and Brighton. And as you think about it, I'm just thinking in my head, how would it look like if Kroenke is the one making Arsenal selection on Saturday against West Ham?
Oh man, I think
that's comprehend. But anyway, let's go with your Chelsea Brighton analysis.
Yeah, so for Chelsea Brighton, I think one prediction that I will give is I think this will be the game where Chelsea finally score, at least under Lampard, right? They haven't scored in the first two games. I think they will manage to score in this game.
That's true.
Now, why do I say that? So I think under Lampard they've been more practical, right? One criticism that we consistently had of Potter was him trying to fit players into his system when the players didn't seem to really fit into it or understand that system, right? We talked many times about you have players that are available for a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, yet he kept trying to play three at the back. Or even when he played four at the back, he would do something weird like play Cucurella at left back, right? To play that expansive game where when you have three at the back, then you still have a left-sided wing back being on the left side of the three, which never really fit Chelsea. Now, we've seen Lampard come in. The first game, he played a 4-3-3, right? And when you look at the back four that he had, it was two center backs, it was a left back, it was a right back. We've also said things like Cucurella is struggling at the moment. You know, Cucurella played well at Brighton. Cucurella was a good player, which is why Chelsea paid £60 million for him. But we've seen him struggle, especially when you're playing him at center back. And so when he played a back three today, Lampard played with three central defenders. It was Koulibaly, it was Silva, it was Fofana, right? And then he had Reece James and Chilwell, not Cucurella, as wing backs. And so I expect him to go to a 4-3-3 this weekend. I expect we will see a centre-back pairing of likely Fofana and Thiago Silva as Akintayo call back. Chilwell will definitely play. We know he's going to miss the Real Madrid game, so there's every reason for him to play this game. And Reece James is back fit now, right back. Up front is where I think it gets interesting. Again, we've said Kai Havertz is not a striker, right? And Kai started the last game, the last Premiership game against Wolves, but he was taken off after 60 minutes, which is something we typically didn't see again under Potter, right? He would leave Kai in that position and play him the whole 90 minutes, or he would bring in people alongside him but leave him in that role, or maybe shift him to the left or right and try to bring someone else. Again, Lampard I think has been practical and sees that this guy is not a striker. Today, he started with Felix and Sterling up front. In the last game, he started Havertz. That was his first game. He said, okay, let's see Havertz in this role. Played him for 60 minutes, hooked him off and brought in Pulisic, brought in Aubameyang, brought in an actual striker, right? So I think he's likely to do the same thing again this game against Brighton. I don't think he will start Havertz again as a striker. He might try to find another role for him, but I think we're likely to see Felix and Sterling start up front. And then I think it's a toss-up of, is Mount fit enough to join in and play with those two, right? Either maybe on the right, likely from the right, or maybe as a false nine, which, maybe not. Or will he give Pulisic a start and play him on the left and play Felix or Sterling through the middle? So that's where I think the question comes up. Fernandes is fit, he's going to start in the middle. Kante is fit, he's going to start in the middle. I think Kovacic, when he plays, makes Chelsea that more dynamic, and I think those three are likely to start in midfield. And it's a question of now who joins Felix and Sterling up front. Brighton have been excellent all season. The only question mark or where Brighton are vulnerable at the moment, they've had a bit of an up and down the last 5 or so games. Jason Steele has come in as a goalkeeper, where we would normally see, forget who their normal keeper is. Thank you, where Robert Sanchez would normally be available. So they've been a bit shaky at the back. So we've seen them concede. They started well against Spurs. And I loved how they played against Spurs. It was one of the first few times that I've actually watched them this season. And they were so confident. I think they had a goal. They scored a goal. It was rolled out. They continued to play their game. I don't know. I think Spurs scored first, if I remember correctly. They just kept going. They kept control of the game. They kept attacking. There was no panic. It was such a structured, confident team. And even though Spurs, I think, were lucky to win that game, there was a penalty decision which was talked about over where Mitoma was clearly fouled in the box and should have gotten a penalty when the scores were tied 1-1, and they didn't get that. And I think they might have won that game if that decision went their way. So I think coming in against a Chelsea side that is struggling and is short on confidence at the moment, I think Chelsea will find a way to break through their defense. But I honestly don't see Chelsea winning this game yet. I think this will come too soon for Lampard. It's Stamford Bridge. My scoreline prediction would be 2-2.
2-2 draw. All right. There you have it. 2-2 draw. 3-1 loss. I think it's going to be an exciting game to watch. I agree with you. Lampard's last 2 games, even though he lost, we could see them kind of being a bit more direct and more attacking than previous games under Graham Potter. I'll say one thing though, Ayo, as an aspiring manager yourself, you work with people you trust. You work with boss you can rely on. You work with people that have carried out your instructions in the past. And when you bring them over, you trust them because you built that relationship. That could be the story between Graham Potter and Cucurella. It was his boy, played with him, right? Especially when you get a job like Chelsea, you have to go with the people you trust. Yeah. And sometimes the old dogs try to not help you with your vision. They might not see.
That's true.
You have to.
But the problem is when you see that your trusted player is not living up.
It's not delivering.
Look. That's why I respect.
I hear you. I just like to play devil's advocate here.
That's why I respect the coach of Manchester United. He knew that Jadon Sancho had issues. He put him on the bench. He even moved him off the team. Go sort yourself out. That's what you call a coach. Yeah. There are times that you notice that a player has issues, and he
just needs time. Yeah,
give him time off.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just trying to
play. So many players on the bench. You can't look what happened to that young man. The young man that plays left back for Chelsea. There's a young boy. I've forgotten his name. Boy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Lewis Hall.
Beautiful player.
Lewis Hall.
They have limited the guy's progress now because they bought the Cucurella. It's honestly, it's hurtful. They limited the guy's progress.
Right? That's not a funny.
That's one player, and that's what I said. The problem with that team is there's some players that are hungry, that want to show themselves. They're not giving them the opportunity. And they keep relying on this.
Maybe you shouldn't have seen Modric from us.
There's a Chukwuemeka that they bought from Aston Villa. That guy wants to show himself. He's not giving the opportunity.
Chukwuemeka is injured, by the way.
Kai Havertz and all the Mason Mounts that are not living up to expectations.
Kai Havertz deliver the Champions League trophy.
Look. Let's look. That he won Champions League when we won it doesn't mean that he's still in form. We don't live on past. We live on the present form of a player.
I agree with you. I am not the manager.
Yeah, if a player has
remind our viewers, this is your manager. The problem, maybe they need to look elsewhere for what the problem is. This is the third manager this season. But to play devil's advocate, like I said earlier, sometimes think about, is the problem your trusted player or is the problem the team that is not trying to work with your trusted player? I don't want an answer, just think about it. Maybe Cucurella is not that bad. Maybe the rest of the team just don't like him and don't want to play with him, or they are not.
I don't think that
they're not trying to make him successful. I don't know.
I don't think that. I think the problem is beyond just the coach. The coach, yes, there are problems. The players have problems on their own. The management, the owners of the club have problems. When like Tuchel was sacked because the owner of the club says he wants more attacking football. He wants a 3. He said he wanted a 4-4-3, which is not a formation. 4-4-3 is like that. People that don't know about soccer, or they call it soccer here, but they don't know about football, and they come into football and they want to start putting ideas into the head of people that are supposed to do the job. When you buy something, what you do is you let it go and let them do. The person you got there, let him do his job. But I don't think the coaches are allowed to do what they want to do. They're giving them what they need to do. And that's the problem.
I hear you, Akintayo, and I could sense that frustration and disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
It's understandable, right? We've been there. We've been there. So we know what it is, right? But, wish you the best.
The annoying part of the whole thing.
That is seem like a heartfelt.
It's not just because we are losing matches. The problem is that spirit that we had, fighting spirit. Even when we are losing, You know,
I think you guys are just
Yeah.
sports brats, right? You used to winning. You used to a certain
no,
culture.
it's not about
You
being
can go
sports.
out there and talk about how you win and how you
You
beat
know,
people,
okay,
right? But it's
during
no
the
longer.
times
There's nothing
of
to brag
Lampard,
about.
Drogba,
I
you see
I
the
feel you.
passion.
I understand.
Passion.
But you need
There's
to
a
understand
passion.
that that's the way the game is. Things change, right? Things turn around, right? Anyway, good conversation. A draw, a loss. We'll find out. I hope the Chelsea fans, like your friends, they don't stone you for making such a prediction.
Well,
I think you should have
truth
remained
be
loyal.
said, yeah.
But
With
it's
what
what it
we're
is.
playing, I don't think we're going to.
Let's talk about the London derby, right? Arsenal, top of the league. West Ham fighting relegation. David Moyes still has his job. This game is coming up, and I think it's on Sunday. Arsenal, West Ham. West Ham is at home. Arsenal is going there. The first leg, I think it ended 3-1. Arsenal cannot afford to sleep again. We saw what Manchester City did to Bayern Munich. That is scary, even as an Arsenal fan. Ayo, Arsenal, West Ham. What do you expect? Is the win? Tough win? How should we line up? Is Saliba back? Let's hear from you.
So I think this is a game where Arsenal have to show title credentials if they're to stay in with a chance of maintaining their lead and actually securing this league title. These are the kinds of games where you have to prove to the league and to yourselves that you have what it takes, right? We saw Liverpool and City a couple of weeks ago, right? And that was the kind of game where City said, "Hey, we're in this fight, right? And it doesn't matter who comes up." They totally destroyed Liverpool in that game. And I think Arsenal has to stamp that kind of authority into this game. Yes, they had a tough 2-2 draw at the weekend where, they could have cleaned out the game. They ran into a 2 lead and then they eventually even struggled to secure a point. And that's understandable. At Anfield, with a Liverpool team that is at their best with their crowd firing behind them, that is maybe an understandable and okay result to take away. Against West Ham at home, with a West Ham team that is struggling this season, I think this is the kind of game where Arsenal needs to run into a lead and secure a similar 3-1 or 3-0 result. Now, coming to the analysis of the game, in the reverse fixture when Arsenal were at home, we saw Saka and Martinelli score, as well as Eddie Nketiah. And coming into this game, I think there's the question of who gets to start. I think the same team that started against Liverpool are likely to start. I think we will see the same front lineup of Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus again. West Ham, I don't think at the moment, West Ham have much to play for in that they're at the moment safe, right? They have 30 points. They're 3 points clear of that 18th position. Even though it's close at the back, they won their last game against Fulham 1-0, which gives them some breathing room. And I think, yes, it's a London derby, but I think with the way Arsenal has been over the course of the season, I think this might be a game that is too much for West Ham to handle.
All right. No scoreline prediction. I think you said 3-0, 3-1, maybe.
Yes.
Right? Akintayo, what do you think? Don't be an hater here. Just tell us what you think.
Unfortunately, I don't want Arsenal to win. Unfortunately, yeah, but
mind over heart, sir. Mind over heart.
Yeah, unfortunately, but with their present form and their zeal to win the league, I think they're going to win the match. It's going to be close.
Amen.
It's going to be close, maybe like a 2-1. Yeah, it's going to be close because they're fighting not to go to relegation, and David Moyes is on fire. Is anytime he loses this match, it might be the end of his career with West Ham. So I know they'll come out and play, but I see Arsenal still winning the game.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if we recall, Newcastle went to the Olympic Stadium and did something similar just a couple of weeks ago, right? It was a 5-1 win that Newcastle ran out.
Yeah, but don't expect that again to happen, though.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a 5-1 win.
Yeah, you're gonna win, but it can't be a 5-1.
Like I tell people, right? At this point, I don't care whether the win is pretty.
Whether it's 1-0, just win.
Just get the 3 points.
Yeah,
just get the 3 points. It would have been nice if
go different
Liverpool
come into play this season.
At this point, right? At this point, win, like Arsenal win, and win to the end. goal difference doesn't count. That's what I'm saying. Just win. Like if the game against Liverpool had ended 2-1, people can say that because they are haters to say, "Oh, you didn't deserve it." But what would be on the scoreboard? 3 points, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be pretty.
And it's all that matters.
Possession, they can talk about how you escaped a loss, but what matters is that 3 points. Because
I just hope in that game you don't start Jorginho in the midfield. If you start him,
again, I don't think we need to worry. This is the only competition, right? So resting players shouldn't be.
Yeah,
priority
Partey
at this point, right?
fit.
You would only start Jorginho if Partey is injured, and I think again, West Ham should be easy. Again, this is on paper. We all played Bournemouth. We saw what happened. No, I hear you. No, I'm not overconfident.
It could be a difficult game, though. It could be a difficult
I'm saying
game.
on paper, right? It should be easy. But we saw when Bournemouth came to our house and kind of tried to mess the league up for us, right? So anything could happen. But in this game, I think we should start with our full power, get goals, and rest Partey. And you can then bring in Jorginho, right? And I think that's how we should play. Let this guy start. Let Jesus start. Let them bang in the goals, 3 goals. Demoralize West Ham. Bring their spirits down. Then take out your best player so that they can prepare for the next game. Because that's how you have to do it. The biggest game of this season after playing Liverpool is going to be City, and it's going to be Newcastle, and it's going to be maybe Chelsea. Those are the games that are coming up that are more serious. And that City, you need your very top team to be available for that game. So, finally, we've discussed the 3 key games that I want to discuss. We're just going to look into the rest of the fixtures, and I'm just going to take your predictions and we'll wrap it up for today's show. Quickly, I don't know if you have the fixtures up higher.
Yep. Getting them up.
All right. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of screen.
Yeah, I'm about to bring that up. All right, and it's up. Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, quickly. Everton, Fulham. Akintayo, what's your prediction for this game? Everton, Fulham.
Fulham winning.
Winning Fulham. Okay. Fulham winning, beating Everton. Okay, I think that's going to be tough. Everton has been a little better at home, but we'll see. Southampton, Crystal Palace, Ayo.
Crystal Palace takes this one. They're firing under Roy Hodgson. 5 goals scored in the last game. They are winning. They've won their back-to-back games since his return. Yeah, Southampton knows that.
Okay. All right. That will probably condemn Southampton further into relegation. Spurs, Bournemouth. Akintayo. Spurs. Okay. Wolves, Brentford. Ayo.
Brentford takes this one.
Okay, against Wolves. Okay.
Yep.
All right, that will be tough. I'll probably put that as a draw. Do we need to talk about this one? City, Leicester.
Right off.
I can tell you what you expect.
Right off. They're gonna kill them. Just forget about it.
Ayo, what do you think? City, Leicester.
So I said something after they played Bayern Munich. Yeah, right. Erling Haaland, who has been superb all season, delivered a pitch of a cross to Bernardo Silva to head in. It was almost like they swap roles, right? It was almost like it was Bernardo Silva delivering that cross and Haaland heading the ball. And I said something. I said, if Haaland starts to play like this, where Haaland is delivering crosses of this quality and passes of this quality, teams are in trouble. I feel bad for Leicester. I always want an upset against City.
If they don't win the Champions League this season, I don't think they can win anymore.
For Arsenal to win the league, but I can't, with my head, predict any different result other than City wins this game.
All right. Okay. Nottingham Forest, Man United. This is the team fighting Newcastle for the 3rd spot. Nottingham Forest, Man United. Akintayo.
That's going to be a bit dicey, kind of. Why? Rashford is out of the game.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's injured. Rashford is injured. He's out for a few games.
Yeah, out for a few games. Casemiro is still red card.
Casemiro is suspended.
Yeah. No, but he's still suspended.
He's still suspended. Martial is a doubt. I don't know. It's gonna be. I see a draw in that game. I see a draw in that game.
Okay. Aya, do you see a draw?
Akintayo has some interesting points. I think this might be a tough game for Man U. I think it might be tough. I don't think it's not as clear cut as it might be otherwise because of those key missing players. A draw is very, very possible in this match. Just looking at the players that Man U has out, the fact that they're missing Casemiro, the fact that Rashford is out, who I've been saying for a while, if Rashford gets injured, that's when we really are going to get to see who Eric Ten Hag and Man United, this current Man United team is. Marcel is back, which is a boost for them. So he's likely to start with Jadon Sancho and Anthony Martial. But none of those have been firing at all this season. It's been Rashford. Martial has scored when he's available, but he's missing his partner Rashford. Those two have combined when he's been fit. But Rashford being out is a key miss. Casemiro being out is a key miss. Forest are battling not to get relegated. It's going to be a tough match. And it's an away match for Man U.
Interesting. The final one, the Monday game, Leeds, Liverpool. Leeds is the only team in the EPL that has beaten Liverpool at home. Arsenal tried to, they couldn't. Prediction, Leeds, Liverpool. This Leeds team was destroyed by Crystal Palace on Sunday, right? They need to bounce back because they're toying with relegation right now. Prediction, Ayo, what's your prediction? Leeds, Liverpool.
I'm just gonna take a random one that I'm not really going to analyze, and I'm going to say Leeds wins this game.
Okay, Akintayo.
That has just been the trend for Liverpool.
I kind of agree with Ayo.
Because which is the typical trend of Liverpool, right?
Liverpool, they beat Man U. Pam.
7-0.
Next game,
7-0. They lost to Bournemouth.
They lost to it's a team that is not in their
relegation.
level. Now they played Arsenal like somebody that want to die. The next match, you never can say they will mess up. So they are not consistent. So I don't know. I see Leeds probably winning that match too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw it out and say Leeds wins just because Liverpool. That has been what Liverpool does this season.
They're very inconsistent.
It's not going to be that Leeds wins the game. It's going to be that Liverpool throws it away like they have been doing.
Like
this
they
season.
normally do.
To be nice to the Liverpool fans so that they don't walk alone, I am going to stick with Liverpool winning this one and say maybe they won't disappoint this time around, considering that players are coming back from injury. Okay. I think Liverpool will shock you all and they will win this game with a superb performance away.
I'll be shocked.
That wraps it up for this week 31 game highlights and discussion and analysis. Thank you all for tuning in, watching, listening. Continue to like and subscribe. We will return next week. As we enter week 32, things are getting hotter every moment. Doing what they used to do in the last 3-4 seasons, right? Running it off. Let's see whether things will change. I hope things will change as an Arsenal fan. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you the next time.
All right, good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Yeah.